You ever given a little less than you promised? A little less effort, a little less truth, a little less than what someone deserved, and told yourself, it's just a small thing. No one will notice. Here is what most people never stop to consider. Every quiet shortcut, every silent deception is being recorded. Not by a person, not by a camera, but by life itself. And life always settles its accounts. Today's story comes from a small village at the edge of a river valley. It is a story about a merchant, a farmer, and a trade that lasted 4 years. It is a story about what happens when a man builds his life on small lies, and the day those lies come home to find him. Stay with me until the very end, because the moment this story turns, it will change the way you see every small choices you make. The air smells of grain and river water. Wooden stalls line the dusty square. Farmers arrive with baskets on their heads. The old women argue over the price of pepper. And at the center of it all, the most prominent stall in the market, larger than the others, louder than the others, stacked high with sacks of salt, jars of oil, and bundles of dried spice. This is Ronnie's shop. His family has traded here for 2 generations. His grandfather's name is still carved into the wooden post at the corner. In this village, the name Ronny means something. It means trust. Ronny was a tall man with an easy laugh and a quick tongue. He wore a pressed shirt every morning and greeted every customer by name. The village loved him. But here is the thing about charm, my friends. It can be a gift, or it can be a mask. Every market day, a quiet farmer named Kenneth came to Ronnie's stall. Kenneth made fresh oil from the seeds he grew. Every week, he brings a clay jar of that oil to Ronnie, and in exchange, Ronnie gives him salt. The same trade, every week. For 4 years. Neither man questioned it. It was simply the rhythm of their lives. But what Kenneth did not know, what no one in the village knew, was this. Ronnie had been giving a little less salt than agreed. Not much. Never enough to cause a scene. Just a few grams short each week. Enough to add up quietly over time, like water filling a jar, drop by drop. Ronnie told himself it was nothing. He is a simple farmer, Ronnie thought. He will never notice. He does not even own a proper scale. And so the weeks passed, and the months, and the years. Here is what greed does to a person. It does not arrive loudly. It does not announce itself. It moves like a termite. Slowly, silently, eating from the inside. And by the time you see the damage, the foundation is already hollow. Ronnie did not feel like a dishonest man. He felt like a clever one. And that is the most dangerous kind of dishonesty. The kind that wears the face of cleverness. One morning, a merchant from a distant town arrived. He was looking for a reliable supplier. He had one condition. "Show me your weights," the merchant said. "I need to know your scales are true." Ronnie laughed. "Of course they are true. I have used the same weights for years." He was not worried. He had no reason to be. Or so he believed. That afternoon, Ronnie decided to test his own scales. He placed his official weights on one side of the balance. Then he weighed the oil Kenneth had brought that morning. His eyes narrowed. The oil was short. Ronnie's face went red. His jaw tightened. 4 years, he muttered. 4 years that farmer has been cheating me. He marched straight to the village elder's house. "I want justice," Ronnie said. "Kenneth has been stealing from me. Every week, short measure. 4 years of theft." The village gathered under the old tree at the center of the square. the place where disputes were settled and truths were told. And somewhere in the crowd, an old proverb was already beginning to stir. Dig a pit for another, and you shall fall into it yourself. Kenneth arrived quietly. He did not look afraid. He looked the way a man looks when he has nothing to hide, calm and a little sad. The elder spoke. "Kenneth, the merchant Ronny says your oil has always been short measure. What do you say?" Kenneth looked at Ronny. Then he looked at the elder. "Elder," he said, "I am a poor man. I have never owned a weighing scale." Ronny smirked. "Then how do you measure your oil?" Kenneth turned to face him. "Every week," Kenneth said, "I take the salt you give me. I bring it home. I place it on one side of my balance board. Then I pour oil until the two sides are equal. Whatever salt you give me, that is how much oil I bring back." Silence. Complete silence. The kind of silence that falls when a truth lands so perfectly that no one knows what to say. "So you are saying, Kenneth, if your oil is short, it is because the salt you received was also short." "Yes, elder. I only ever gave back what I was given." Ronny had walked into this square to accuse a thief, and he had found one. But it was not Sela. The mills of justice grind slowly, but they grind exceedingly fine. The elder stood. "Ronny," he said, "you did not come here to seek justice. You came here, and justice was waiting. But it was not waiting for Kenneth. It was waiting for you." The elder called for Ronny's weights to be examined. What they found confirmed everything. The weights were tampered, just a few grams short, the kind of small dishonesty that hides behind the word nothing. Standing in the open square, under the eyes of every person who had ever trusted him, Ronny saw his life clearly for the first time. He had not been building a business. He had been building a trap, and he had built it so carefully, so quietly, that when it finally closed, it closed around him perfectly. This is not a story about a merchant. It is a story about every small choice you have ever made when no one was watching. Because someone is always watching. Not always a person, but always life. Ronny was ordered to repay every customer he had shortchanged, every gram, every year. The new merchant left without a deal. And Ronny, the man whose name had meant trust for 2 generations, packed up his stall alone as the market emptied around him. He left the village within the month. He carried no enemies with him, only the weight of his own choices. Kenneth walked home that evening along the river path. His wife asked if he was angry. Kenneth shook his head. "I was never cheated," he said quietly. "I always got back exactly what I gave." He was right. He had given honesty, and honesty had come back to him, not as a reward, but as a shield. You reap what you sow. Not sometimes, always. What you give to the world comes back, not always quickly, not always in the way you expect, but always, in the end, with perfect accuracy. Here is what I want you to carry with you. First, be honest, not because someone is watching, but because your actions are quietly shaping the world you will one day have to live in. Secondly, never underestimate small choices. Ronny did not lose his life to one great crime. He lost it to 1,000 small ones. Small dishonesties do not stay small forever. Thirdly, the system you build for others is the system you live inside. Ronny's scales measured him before they measured anyone else. And fourthly, if life seems unfair right now, be patient. The scales are still moving. What you give is what you build. The world is not indifferent to how you live. it is paying very close attention. And one day, without warning, it will return to you exactly what you gave. If this story touched your heart or made you reflect deeply, share it with someone who needs this reminder today. Subscribe for more moral and life-changing stories every week. Type, "I give what I want to receive" in the comments below. Have you ever experienced a moment where life returned to you exactly what you gave? Share your story. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe